we get into volume 2, we're going to show more how this conspiracy has grown and metastasized and become a cancer in all of our local communities. And so one of those organizations we're talking about is how this globalist organization called the Council on Foreign Relations infiltrated our local communities. So we look at World War I. It was designed as a way to be able to, as the precursor, to get us to accept world government so that we could stop this type of horrific war from happening ever again. And so they introduced the League of Nations afterwards. And there was a lot of people that were warning about the dangers of the League of Nations, of how it would give up that key principle of political independence. And so the League of Nations was defeated. But there was a plan. The Council on Foreign Relations was then created to help sell the people on the idea of world government, which after World War II led us to accepting the United Nations. And so one of the co-founders of the Council on Foreign Relations was a man by the name of Colonel Edward Mandell House, considered to be Wilson's brain. And he said that he wanted to build socialism as dreamed of by Karl Marx. That's the kind of individual you're dealing with, one of the founders of this organization that was founded to get the people to accept world government and to move the United States more and more in that direction. In fact, the Council on Foreign Relations introduced and published a study that said that their job and their goal was to maintain and gradually increase the authority of the United Nations. And so to be able to do that, not just on a national, international level, but to get people in every community across the nation to go along with this and to accept this and to get the local people to accept this globalist idea to destroy our local political independence. An organization was formed called the American Committee on Foreign Relations. And this was formed in 1938 by the CFR. They felt it was time to create a number of nonpartisan, nonprofit committees across the country for the purpose of bringing business and professional local leaders together to discuss world events due to isolationist attitudes and emerging international conflicts. So it was meant to get business leaders and government leaders to get together to be able to get them to not support what they call isolation, meaning national and political independence, to merge us with this global system. So they formed these local committees all across the country, mostly in states and communities that were in favor of national and local independence. And so they formed them in states like Idaho and Wyoming and Utah even. And here we see the Salt Lake Committee on Foreign Relations website. And they have meetings every single month to be able to help the local government and business community get together to see how they can get the local people on board to destroy local and national independence. And where would they meet every single month in the state of Utah? Nowhere but the Alta Club. So we see individuals that are the leaders. This is kind of like behind the scenes. Who are the puppet masters behind our elected officials that are moving us away from local independence, away from national independence, into an international United Nations-led government? And the organizations that they say here, you look at these websites at the University of Utah and at BYU, what are the local universities and their organizations that are helping to promote this? With BYU and their Kennedy Center and their pushing of the Black Lives Matter and the Council on Foreign Relations. And we have here at the state's own website where they register businesses, where the leaders of the local Council on Foreign Relations are registered. We can see who those individuals are. And we see here we have Dean Collingwood in Salt Lake City, who is a professor at Weber State University, who has written many books on globalism and promoting globalism. Another leader at the Council on Foreign Relations, we have David Deasley. His address right there, just a public record. Went out to his house to kind of see what kind of neighborhood was there. And on the way there to check things out, I found something else that was even more fascinating, linked to the Council on Foreign Relations. You see here on this property where they have these, this is an individual's private residence. They have statues and supposed artwork. You look closer at this artwork, it's disgusting, it's creepy, it's body parts, and it's gore. And they have these statues that have eerie similarities to artwork and statues owned by John Podesta, who was a part of the Pizzagate scandals and their links to sex trafficking and child trafficking. So what kind of individual owns this house? Is it just some random guy in a more upper class neighborhood in Salt Lake City? John and Marcia Price, with a huge background in government, tons of different positions in government, as well as being a member of what? The Council on Foreign Relations. So who are some prominent examples of Utahns who have been members of the CFR? You have John Huntsman Jr., who was a member of the CFR, right up to becoming governor of the state of Utah, as well as Gerrit W. Gong. John Huntsman has strong links to the New World Order. With 1993, he joined the Council on Foreign Relations. In 1999, he starts leading the United Nations Agenda 21 organization, Envision Utah. 2007, he worked at supporting the freedom-destroying cap-and-trade legislation. He also backed forced healthcare mandates with Obamacare. 2008, he backed the trillion-dollar bank bailouts. In 2009, he supported forcing the state to recognize sodomite marriages. 2012, he attended the Bilderberg Conference, big New World Order organization. In 2015, he joined the CFR-linked Atlantic Council, endorsed Mike Lee for Senate in 2015, and he was revealed in 2019 to be in Jeffrey Epstein's Little Black Book. So we see here Gerrit W. Gong, before becoming prominent in religious circles in the state of Utah, he was a member in the Council on Foreign Relations. Here's their annual report from when he was listed as a member, which, as we see now, has been really scrubbed from the internet, very difficult to find. And we look at some of these pro-globalists books that Gong has written that back and support the Chinese communists and the atrocities that they have committed through China and the Soviet Union, China's Fourth Revolution, Empires and Civilizations, Remembering and Forgetting, Russia's Bermuda Triangle, The Beginning of History, and The Standard of Civilization. And in The Standard of Civilization, he kind of brags about and promotes this idea that efforts are now being made to enshrine demands for a new international economic order, a new international information order, and a new international cultural order within whatever legality United Nations resolutions proffer. Okay, an economic order, we talked about economic independence, international information order, so we've got to be able to control what people are learning and the culture and the media that they're consuming, and a new international culture order being implemented by the United Nations, this world government.